We are recording. Dr. Rodgers, why did you move to Columbia?
I moved to Columbia to be the Dean of Students at Columbia College, and that was in 1976.
Okay. So you had been working in higher education for a while?
I worked in higher education all my adult life.
Okay. Dr. Rodgers, was there a point in time that the government seized your guns?
Yes, it was. Yes, they did.
Do you know why?
My son Gregory filed a complaint against the Columbia Police Department over a traffic stop, the way that he'd been handled and manhandled, and they did a pretty thorough job of manhandling him. It was very obvious that the stop and the ticket had nothing to do with the law. It had to do with how the police felt about Greg. So he was given a ticket the morning of his appearance before Judge Ogler. He felt like he was having a heart attack, went to Boone Hospital, and the doctor gave him instructions and medication for him to go home, go to bed, and that should excuse him from going to court if he was under doctor's order not to. When the police talked to Judge Ogler, and he said, "That's no excuse. He should be in my court. I want him in my court, and I want him in the worst way." The police came to arrest Greg with cooperation of the sheriff's office, the city police, and when they arrested him, they charged him with concealed carry, a charge that he had a gun without a permit and was concealing it. In fact, he was on his own property. He did and does still have a concealed carry permit, but they arrested him and took his gun. At that point, they asked Greg, did he have any other guns? He said yes. And the search warrant that by the way, the police did have a search warrant when they came. They came prepared to do whatever they could to make life uncomfortable for Greg. When he arrested him, they asked him, did he have any more guns? He said yes. My father has a gun safe located in the storage part of the apartment complex. It was not Greg's storage compartment. It was Allan Rodgers' storage compartment. I owned the complex. They told Greg that if he did not give them the combinations of the safe, that they would tear the safe up, that they would ruin it. So if he gave them the combinations of the safe, they took every weapon, well actually the weapons were shotguns, out of the safe and took them, although the search warrant was just for Greg's apartment.
So when Greg was arrested, did they have a bond on him?
Yeah, they had a $500 bond
on the missing court.
On missing court situation.
What was the bond on the unlawfully concealing charge?
$50,000.
Okay, so you had to come up with $50,000 cash to post the bond?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I did.
Okay. Whatever happened to the charge against Greg for unlawfully concealing a firearm?
It was dismissed.
Okay. So they seized about 9 of your guns that day?
I think it was 7 or 8. I don't remember exactly.
That's fine. How long did they keep your guns for?
They kept the guns 13 months, maybe a little longer. And I repeatedly asked for my guns back. I missed hunting seasons in the fall and spring and winter, because they had all of my firearms. I didn't want to be buying additional firearms when I should have had them returned to me way before 13 months.
What, did the government ever allege that any of your firearms were used in a crime?
No, I was never arrested. My guns were never involved with any charges of any kind.
Okay. Who did you make requests to get your guns back from?
The Columbia Police Department.
Okay. Did you make any requests to the Boone County Prosecutor's Office?
Yes.
Okay. Did your lawyer make requests to the Boone County Prosecutor's Office to return your firearms?
Yes.
And what did the Boone County Prosecutor's Office say?
They said they were going to keep them because they might have to use them in the prosecution of some sort of charge.
Okay. Could they identify what sort of charge they might have any relation to?
No.
Okay. They just didn't want to give you guns back.
Correct.
And frankly, at the end, the police department, against the prosecutor's wishes, gave you your guns back.
Right.
So, how did the way the government treated you and your son make you feel?
I've always been a real supporter of the police. My father was a policeman. I have if I was ever to give the benefit of the doubt in a war of words, I'd give it to the police. But after the way that I was treated and Greg was treated, my opinion of the police department totally went down, but of the Columbia Police Department is insufferable, terribly, terribly, unfairly treated.
Matter of fact, did one of the detectives admit why they did all these things to your son?
One of them said yes, they did it because he filed a complaint against. Greg had filed a complaint against the police department when they arrested him on this minor traffic thing. They manhandled him pretty roughly.
Do you remember what the word the detective used describing how the complaint caused them to target your son?
Honestly, I don't remember exactly how it went.
That's fine. Well, I think that you've. Is there anything else you think you need to add so that people understand about what happened to you and your son?
The only thing, I do. I think that they had a warrant, search warrant, for his apartment only. They expanded that at their own volition. They did not go back to judge for any expansion of that search warrant. And instead they threatened to destroy a safe, my safe, where I had my guns stored, if Greg didn't give them the combination. And when they then, knowing that part of the guns in there were mine, they took everything and didn't return them for 13 months. I think that's totally in violation of any kind of sensible rights that I had.
Okay. Well, Dr. Rodgers, I appreciate you telling what happened and how you've made you feel, and thank you.
You're welcome.